everybody. I've got our picture book today. Unfortunately, the one I wanted to read that goes along with our gospel has not come in the mail yet. So I will have to read that one later and add the video. But I do have one that I picked out from my own library. It's called Sophie's Masterpiece. It's by the author Eileen Spinelli, and the pictures are by Jane Dyer. I don't know if you can tell what Sophie is. She certainly has a lot of legs, and in the picture she's got this thread here. It looks like she's making curtains. She is a spider. And this is actually Sophie's Masterpiece, A Spider's Tale. Sophie was no ordinary house spider. That's what the ordinary house spider looks like. They've got long, long legs. Sophie was an artist. She is making a beautiful web. She spun webs more wondrous than anyone had ever seen. Her playmates called her incredible. Her mama was so proud. That's when Sophie was a little spider. Someday, they said, she's going to spin a masterpiece. When Sophie arrived at the age when a young spider must strike out on her own, she moved to Beekman's boarding house. There she is with all of her bags packed. And here is Beekman's boarding house. And I don't know if I see Sophie in that picture. She may be in there, but I do see a cat on the stoop. And I think I see a broom by the front door. The first thing Sophie did was look around. She saw dull green walls, faded rugs, and old window shades. The place cried out for her talents. Sophie set to work. Her first project was to weave a web of curtains for Beekman's front parlor. Day after day, she whizzed along, blending a golden thread of sun into her silk. And there she is, doing her work. Then one day, the landlady noticed her, and she screamed, "I'll have no spiders in my parlor!" She swatted at Sophie with a dust rag. Well, Sophie knew when she wasn't wanted, and she scampered across the wall and up the stairs into the tugboat captain's closet. There's the tugboat captain. There's his closet. When she finally settled down, she looked around and saw nothing but gray. Gray shirts, gray pants, gray sweaters. Why, the captain needs a new suit, Sophie decided. Something bright blue like the sky. And she began to patiently spin a sleeve, a collar. And one day, the tugboat captain caught Sophie at her work, and he screeched, "Oh no, it's a spider!" And then he climbed out onto the windowsill and out to the roof. Well, Sophie did not want anyone falling off the roof on her account, so she scuttled out of the closet, down the hall, and into the cook's bedroom slipper. Who would have thought that captain was afraid of poor Sophie, who is just making him a nice, beautiful blue suit. I don't think things are going to go better in a shoe, do you? There's the cook. Cook's bedroom slippers were patched and dirty. I'll spin a new pair, Sophie thought. After I rest a bit. She was getting a little tired after all that work. But no sooner had Sophie snuggled into the toe than she was being flung out to the floor. Was it an earthquake? There she is, getting flung out to the floor with her suitcase. Was it an earthquake? No, it was Cook, who had shaken Sophie out. Oh, yuck, scowled the cook. Look at that ugly, disgusting spider. Sophie's feelings were hurt, and with great dignity she journeyed across the rug and under Cook's door. She made the long, long climb up the steep stairs to the 3rd floor, where a young woman lived. Wearily, Sophie slipped into the young woman's knitting basket and fell asleep. Look at all those stairs that Sophie has to go up. And there's the sewing basket where she fell asleep. Can you see her in there? By this time, many spider years had passed, and Sophie was older. She only had energy to spin a few small things for herself: a tiny rose-patterned case for her pillow, 8 colorful socks to keep her legs warm. But mostly, she slept. Then one day, the young woman discovered Sophie. There's the young woman. Oh no, thought Sophie, close to tears. You can see that she's kind of sad. She knew that she did not have the strength for any more journeys, but the young woman did not swat at Sophie with a dust rag, and she did not climb out on the roof, and she did not say that Sophie was ugly. She simply smiled. There she is doing her knitting. And without disturbing Sophie in the least, the young woman picked up her needle and yarn, and Sophie watched as the young woman knitted day after day. And that's what she was knitting. Baby booties. Booties, cried Sophie. The young woman was going to have a baby. After the booties were finished, the young woman knitted a baby sweater. And then the yarn was all gone. The young woman did not have enough money to buy yarn for a baby blanket. Never mind, the landlady told her. There's an old brown quilt in the hall closet. Your baby can use that. Sophie had seen that quilt. It was scratchy and drab. It was not fit for a baby. There's Sophie. Sophie was an old woman spider now. Sophie knew the answer. She would have to spin a blanket herself. In her younger days, this would have not been a problem, but Sophie had grown frail and weak. The baby was due any day. Could Sophie complete the blanket in time? She climbed out of the yarn basket. She traveled to the wide windowsill. Strands of moonlight fell into the room. Excellent, she thought. I'll weave those strands into the baby's blanket. I'll weave some starlight, too. Sophie began as she spun. And as she spun, Sophie began, and as she spun, new ideas came to her. She worked them into the blanket. Snippets of fragrant pine, wisps of night, old lullabies, and playful snowflakes. There she is, working on that beautiful blanket. Sophie spun without blinking or eating or sleeping. She was never more exhausted or determined. On and on she spun. She was down to the farthest corner of the blanket when she heard the cry of the young woman's newborn baby. And there on that farthest corner is where Sophie wove into the blanket her very own heart. And there's the blanket left in the windowsill. And there's the mother with the baby. That night, as the young woman was about to cover her infant with the landlady's quilt, something on the windowsill caught her eye. It was a blanket that was so soft and so beautiful that it was fit for a prince, and the young woman knew that this was no ordinary blanket. She placed it with love and wonderment around the sleeping baby and went to sleep herself with her hand upon the little spider's last spinning. It was Sophie's masterpiece. The end. So that is one of my very favorite books because I think spiders can be wonderful. And I hope you're not scared of them when you see them because spiders can be very good, like Sweet Sophie and like Charlotte in Charlotte's Web. When I get the book about the lambs, that goes with the gospel, I'll record it again and I will put it on Facebook for you guys. See you later.